Welcome back to Treasures from the Purans, a treasure chest of fascinating stories from the Puran genre of Indian literature. Today, I bring you the birth of Shuk Dev. The sages gathered in Naimisharanya or the Naimish forest said to sage Suta, "O learned one, sage Vyas, who composed all the Purans and the Mahabharata, had a son named Shuk Dev. We are wondering how Vyas, who was constantly engaged in practicing severe austerities, have a son. Please tell us the story of his birth." Suta said, Vyasdev had a keen desire to have a son. Atishtatsa gatahara Shat samvatsaram prabhu Aradhayan mahadevam Tathaiva cha sadashivam Shaktih sarvatra pujeti Vicharya cha punah punah Ashaktu nindyate loke Shaktastu paripujyate. He thought to himself that a man possessed of Shakti or power is worshipped in this world, and a man devoid of it is looked down upon. So deciding to worship both Shiva and the Devi Adya Shakti, he started chanting the one-syllable mantra he had heard from sage Narad. He prayed for a son as pure and powerful as the fire, earth, air, and sky. He started his penance in the beautiful forest of Karnikar on the summit of Mount Meru, the playground of the Devatas. This was where highly ascetic sages, the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Marut, and 2 Ashwins, and the knowers of Brahma lived. The air there resounded with the music of the Kinnars. Vyasa's penance continued for 100 years, during which time he did not even eat anything. His hair became matted and turned tawny, the color of flames. The severity of his penance terrified Indra, the king of the Devatas. On seeing Indra's condition, Shiva spoke to him. "Jealousy and anger should never be shown towards ascetics," he said, "as their penance always has a noble purpose and their worship never seeks to harm anyone." "What is the purpose of Vyasa's penance?" asked Indra. "It is to beget a son, and the period of 100 years is nearly over." After saying this, Shiva went to Vyas and said, "Get up, O sinless one. I grant you your heart's desire. You will have a son, fiery, luminous, and spirited like the 5 elements of fire, earth, air, water, and sky. He will be of supreme wisdom, with sterling qualities of truthfulness and valor, loved and respected by all." Hearing the wondrous words of Shiva, Vyas returned to his hermitage. Tired with the long penance, he wanted to light a fire and thus started rubbing 2 sticks with each other. While doing so, he started wondering how his son would be born. "Will my son be produced like fire is by the friction of these sticks?" he thought, "for I don't have a wife. But no matter how wonderful a wife is, she will come in the way of my asceticism. Leading a householder's life is a bondage. How can I live like one?" While he was deep in these thoughts, his eyes fell on the beautiful Apsara or celestial nymph Gritachi, who was hovering close by. Seeing her close to him and looking at him, Vyas was smitten and became agitated. experiencing amorous feelings for someone for the first time, he thought that if he gave in to them, he would become the laughing stock of high-souled ascetics. They will think I have completely lost my senses, he thought. Alas, why have I, who did such severe penance for 100 years, become so powerless at the mere sight of this Apsara? Sage Narad has told me the story of how the king Pururva was smitten by the Apsara Urvashi and lived in great pain because of it. What should I do now? Seeing Vyas in a pensive mood and looking at her, Dhritachi felt scared that he may be angry and about to curse her. So she quickly assumed the form of a parrot and flew away. Vyas was startled, and his mind was suddenly filled with the vision of her exquisite feminine form. Just this thought thrilled him so much that his hair stood on end. Though he tried to resist it, his mind was filled with amorous thoughts of being with her. Meanwhile, he had continued to rub the 2 fire-generating sticks on which his semen now fell. And there arose from those sticks a handsome human form who resembled the illustrious Vyas. His brilliance was like that of a blazing sacrificial fire on which clarified butter has been poured. Vismayam janayan balah sanjatastadaranyajah yatha dhvare samidhognir bhati havyena diptiman vyasastu sutamalokya vismayam paramam gatah kimitaditi sanchantya varadanaachivasya ve tejo rupi shuko jato pyarani garbha sambhavah dvitiyognirvatyartam deepyamanah swatejasa. Vyas was momentarily wonder-struck and thought, how has this boy been born without a woman giving birth to him? Then he realized that this was the result of Shiva's boon. The river Ganga came from the Himalayas to wash the newborn, and flowers were showered on him from celestial beings above. As Vyas performed the ceremonies for the newborn, the firmament resounded with the sound of Dundubhi or the celestial drums as the Gandharvas, Vishwavasu, Narad, Tumburu and others began to sing joyfully and chant hymns at the sight of the baby. Then Dand, or a divine stick which ascetics carry, a kamandal or water pot, and an antelope skin were dropped from the heavens as gifts for the baby. Vyas named him Shuk Dev, as he had seen Dhritachi in the form of a shuka bird or parrot. Shuk Dev grew up into a young lad instantly, and Vyas performed his Upnayan ceremony, after which formal learning begins. All the Vedas and their secrets began to flash in Shuk Dev's mind and reveal themselves to him as they were entrenched in Vyas's mind. Shukadev chose Brihaspati as his guru and immersed himself in studying the scriptures and following the strict regimen of a student at his hermitage. At the completion of his studies, he made offerings to the guru, as was the custom, and returned home to his father. Vyas was delighted to have his son back, and after inquiring about his studies, requested him to stay with him. "O highly intelligent Shuka," said Vyas, "I have begotten you after severe and long penance, and have great expectations from you, which you must try to fulfill. I would like you to get married to a suitable girl, and start a householder's life to ensure my salvation. I will ask a king to give you sufficient wealth to enjoy a householder's life. The highly intelligent Shuka realized that his father was tied down by the bonds of attachment. O knower of Dharma, he said, you have divided the Vedas into 4 with your supreme intelligence. Give me the right advice. Please tell me what pleasure can be there on earth not mixed with pain? The wise say that happiness mixed with pain is not true happiness. If I marry, I will become dependent on a woman. How can true happiness be possible for one who is dependent on someone else? If one is tied to an iron pillar, one can still hope for freedom. But a man tied to his wife and children can never hope to be free. I am born of no womb. Even in my previous birth, I had no desire to be born of a womb. When I studied the Vedas, continued Shuk Dev, I realized that they dealt with the path of action, which is full of violence to others. Then, in search of true wisdom, I went to Brihaspati, but soon realized that he too suffers from the disease of ignorance and lives in a world of attachment. So I realized that he can't guide me to liberation, just as a sick physician can't cure others' ailments. I respectfully took his leave and have come to you to save me from this terrible serpent of worldly desires in which everyone seems to be caught up. O Father, there is no happiness in this ever-changing world. Son, said Vyas quietly, the householder whose mind is unattached can attain liberation. The householder has a very important role to play in society. A spiritually inclined householder welcomes and respectfully provides food to wandering ascetics and learned men. It is for this reason that sage Vashisht and other learned men became householders. Therefore, O son, enter this important part of life, enjoy being a householder, procreate, and when you grow old, leave home to go to the forest and take up the life of a vanprasthi or a renunciate. O highly fortunate one, he continued, one who does not marry is maddened by the fire of the senses. That is why the scriptures advise to marry during your youth and be engaged in performing penance in old age. The fiery sage Vishwamitra, even after performing severe penance for 3,000 years, gave in to the charms of the celestial nymph Menaka. My own father, sage Parashar, though a great ascetic, was struck by the arrows of Kamadev, the god of love, at the sight of Matsyagandha. What's more, even Brahma, seeing his own daughter Sandhya, was struck by passion and ran after her, at which Shiva bellowed fiercely and Brahma fell unconscious. In the next episode, we will continue with Shukadev's journey of finding the worth of a householder's life. Srimad Bhagavatam Punyam Nanakhyan Kavanvitam Dvaipayan Mukhodbhutam Panchalakshana Sanyutam Shrinvatam Sarva Papagnam Shubhadam Sukhadam Tatha Itihasamidam Punyam Kirtitam Muni Sattamah.